Dry January is one of those topics a lot of smart people hesitate to touch. Not because they don't have thoughts, but because they know exactly what comes with it. The comments, the debates, the screenshots, and the unexpected emotional labor that shows up when you say anything nuanced about alcohol online. You want to go viral right now? Take a very bold stance on the non-alcoholic wine movement and wait. Viral. But most people, actual humans, actual customers, do not live in those extremes. They live in the gray. They're dry-ish. They're resetting. They're drinking less, drinking differently, or just drinking more intentionally than they did in December. And that's the part of the conversation that doesn't always get the spotlight, but absolutely deserves it. So yes, this is a complex topic, and yes, it can be a rabbit hole, and yes, here I go anyway. Not to debate it, but to help you market inside it. Welcome to the Email Mavens YouTube channel, the place for winery owners and marketing pros who want to sell more wine online by sending better marketing emails. I'm Erica Walter, founder and CEO of Email Mavens, and on the day this goes live, I am on day 15 of my own Dry January. That's right. Dessoir, naughty AF bubs in my glass at the moment. Well, not presently, obviously. Anyway, before we go any further, let's set the scene with what's actually happening out there. More and more people are experimenting with Dry January. Some sources state that up to 1/3 of Americans are trying a no alcohol or reduced alcohol month to start the year. At the same time, overall alcohol consumption in the US is trending downward. According to data from Gallup, only around 54% of adults report drinking alcohol recently, the lowest figure since Gallup began reporting on the stat in 1939. And patterns like zebra striping, which is like alternating alcoholic drinks with non-alcoholic alternatives, or like dry-ish habits are all becoming more and more mainstream. Here's what's interesting. People aren't doing this to stop having fun. They're doing it for better sleep, more consistent energy, mental clarity, and yeah, sometimes just a reset after the holidays. All of this sounds pretty good. So what's with all the judginess? Whether wineries like it or not, these shifts are not going to stay in the headlines. They're showing up in your tasting room traffic, but they're also showing up in your email open rates, your engagements, and how people respond to your emails. So if you're thinking, is this just a fad, or is this something my winery should just avoid talking about? Or even, hey, Erica, Dry January is about half over. Why bother doing anything at this point? The answer isn't about picking sides. It's about understanding shifting behaviors so your email strategy isn't completely tone deaf. Whether your customers are fully dry, dry-ish, sober curious, or still enjoying a generous pour on the regular, they're also still checking their inbox in January. And that is why Dry January isn't just an alcohol conversation or certainly isn't a moral debate. It's a consumer behavior conversation, which means it absolutely needs to be considered in your email strategy. Today, I want to show you how wineries can win Dry January and beyond by thinking less about what's in the glass and more about what's going on in your customers' heads. Because when you get that part right, January stops feeling like an awkward speed bump and turns into an awesome jump start for the rest of the year. Okay, so need you to get your mind right because the key is this. You gotta stop thinking in binaries and start thinking in psychographics. Your subscriber list is not dry or not dry. It's more like this. Some people are all the way fully off the sauce. You got the dry-ish people who are drinking on weekends but taking weekdays off. You got people who are exploring low dosage wines. They're people that are just trying to be more intentional, drinking differently than they did last month. You have the people who are curious about the dry wines or the zero dosage or the non-alcoholic options. And then you have people who are boldly doing their part to counterbalance everybody that's doing dry January by going fully the other direction. Bless you. I do have a funny story to tell about this. So if you've been watching this channel for a minute, you might remember that back in September, I went to business summer camp. Yes, it's a real thing. And I had a chance to ask my business hero, Mike Michalowicz, a question about marketing wine in today's landscape. I'm sure you can kind of guess at what I was saying. I was basically saying, like, the anti-alcohol voices are louder. People are distinctly drinking less overall, right? Like framing the problem. And without missing a beat, my bunkmate, whose name was also Erica, jumps in and she goes, "Well, I'm doing the best I can." I'm sorry, but that line just, lives rent-free in my head whenever this topic comes up. So I thought now you can enjoy that too. To be clear, I love the full spectrum. I love the people going all the way dry. I love the people saying absolutely not. I'm doing the opposite. And I especially love the people who say, I'm doing the best I can. This isn't fragmentation. This is range. Dry January can actually be a gift because it reveals motivation, identity, and intention in a way most months don't. You want consumers to feel connected to your winery? Connect to them. Okay, I know this is a lot of preamble. You're like, okay, give me the tactics, Erica. How do we pull it off? Not with gimmicks, not with lectures, and most definitely not with like, hey guys, we're cool with dry January too energy. That's so lame. So let's talk about what's not lame. Let's talk about what is working. Founder or brand storytelling. January is reflective by nature, which makes it a beautiful month for origin stories, personal rituals, and why you make what you make. I have personally seen a handful of winery founders and creators share very honestly how they're approaching January for themselves. Not as a campaign, not as a conversion play, just as humans talking about balance, intention, or small shifts in their relationship with alcohol. And that kind of storytelling, it especially lands right now, but it lands full stop. No selling required, just humanity. Humanity always wins. Talking about mindfulness or moderation does not diminish wine culture. It makes it more inclusive, and that is how brands stand out. Also working, reframing without shaming. Think clean start, reset, intention, craft, balance, not you overdid it vibes on the one end or let's make up for lost time panic on the other. Moving on, another thing that's working is product without pressure. Zero dosage, lower alcohol, even alcohol removed or NA experimentation, if it's authentic to your brand, can be offered quietly or not so quietly, confidently for sure, and without a megaphone. And if it's not right for you, that's okay too. Many wineries are offering no alcohol or alcohol removed wine flights in their wineries right now. I think that's so dope, but don't force it, but just know that it actually creates a better vibe for people, okay? Okay. And finally, experience forward emails, education, behind the scenes, rituals, pairings, ways to stay in the world of your winery, even if someone's glass looks different this month. Those are all ways to show up for your subscribers in a way that's delightful, that isn't necessarily pushing wine on them when they're not drinking right now. Here's the thing. People don't unsubscribe because they're not buying right now. They do unsubscribe, though, when brands get weird. Here is what not to do, and please don't. This is where brands can lose trust fast. Don't diss either camp. Don't mock dry January. Don't suddenly adopt sober language that isn't authentic to your winery. And don't panic send a January email just because you watched this episode and feel like you need to check a box. Okay, don't do it. But especially, don't act like dry January just doesn't exist. January emails should not feel defensive or desperate or like you're trying to win an argument. If you focus on the things I've taught you today that address your consumers in the context of this environment, that's where you're gonna win. And here is the biggest takeaway I want you to remember. Whether it's dry January or not, it's just January. January has never been a conversion first month. It is a relationship first month. Dry January is gonna end, buying cycles will resume, wine will ship once more. But how your winery showed up or didn't sticks. The wineries that win January aren't trying to be clever. They're just showing up consistently with humanity and intention. And that is how you stay relevant in the inbox, even when people are drinking less. If this was helpful, hit subscribe because we talk about the real email strategy stuff around here, not just what looks good on a calendar. And if you're still working on your January or even your Q1 emails right now, ask yourself, are we selling or are we staying in relationship? Because the second one always pays off. Until next week, keep pressing send on your next best email. How do I look? How do I sound?
Perfect.
Of course I sound and look perfect. Let's do this. Man, I love this content. Okay, woo! I'm stoked. Okay. I didn't even reference my tiger in the episode and I really meant to.